We're not just going to talk about body language today. No, we are going way deeper. We're going to deconstruct a silent, high-stakes conflict. It's a battle that happens every single day, in boardrooms, coffee shops, even right at your own dinner table. We're about to expose the invisible war for space and for status. Just let that sink in for a second. This one idea, right here, it's the key. It unlocks a hidden layer of human interaction that most people never, ever see. So for the next few minutes, I want you to think of us as observers, watching predators on the savannah. We're going to analyze this subtle, nonverbal battle for dominance that unfolds all around us. This is the silent war for your environment.
You see, we all think a negotiation, or really any discussion, kicks off with the first spoken word. But here's the crazy part. The truth is, the power dynamics, the whole hierarchy, it can be completely locked in before anyone even pulls out a chair. This territorial body language, it creates this kind of shadow hierarchy, and it instantly casts you into one of two roles. You're either the owner of the space, or you're the intruder.
All right, so here's how we're going to break this all down. We'll start with the silent war itself. Then, we'll get into something called the compression reflex. After that, we'll look at the tactics with the silent fence and the psychology behind it with the amygdala hijack. Then, we'll give you the tools with the reclamation protocol, all leading up to one final idea: how to own the space.
Okay, first up, the compression reflex, or as I like to call it, why we shrink. I want you to start by thinking about a feeling I know you've had. It's that gut punch reaction, when someone's mere presence feels like it's physically pushing you back, making you smaller. That right there, that's the compression reflex. And trust me, understanding it is the first step to breaking free.
So there's a fancy academic name for this: proxemics. It's the study of how we use space. It's a really fascinating field. But let's be real. In the world of power, influence, and negotiation, space is never, ever neutral. It's an asset. It's a weapon. It is territory that is meant to be claimed.
I want you to really picture this. You walk into a meeting room. Someone's already there, just sprawled out in their chair. One arm is draped over the back of the seat next to them. Their stuff is spread across the table like some kind of invading army. Now, your conscious brain might just register, oh, that's a relaxed person. But on a primal level, your brain is screaming, dominant predator. And your body reacts before you even have a chance to think. You feel it, don't you? You tuck your elbows in, you cross your legs tightly, you put your notebook down in this tiny little apologetic square right in front of you. You have just experienced the compression reflex. You have literally, physically shrunk.
And this isn't just about feeling a little awkward. It has real consequences. Look at this chain reaction. First, you lose negotiation ground. By shrinking, you've non-verbally accepted a lower status position. You've already given up ground. Second, you start this dangerous feedback loop of learned helplessness. Your body is literally telling your brain, hey, we're the underling here, which makes it so much harder to speak up or push back. And finally, all of this just erodes your cognitive sovereignty. Think of it like a battery draining. You're spending so much mental energy just managing your discomfort that you're no longer in control. You're completely trapped inside their psychological frame.
So, the big question is, how do they actually do it? Well, I can tell you, it's not by accident. It's a system, a playbook, and right now we're going to deconstruct it. We're calling this section the silent fence. I want you to imagine someone building an invisible electric fence around themselves piece by piece to control the entire environment. Let's look at the tactics.
Okay, so there are 4 distinct phases to this whole spatial dominance game, and they can happen in just a few seconds. It starts with the initial expansion, then it's reinforced with object marking. If they need to, they escalate to a proxemic incursion, and it's all held in place by controlling the anchor points in the room. Let's break down each one of these plays.
All right, phase 1, this is the opening move. This is the land grab. The actor doesn't just enter a space, they occupy it. They immediately claim way more than their fair share. This is the classic man-spreading or sprawling move we've all seen. They're using their arms and legs to physically mark the boundaries of their new personal kingdom. See, they're not just sitting in a chair. They are occupying a territory that includes their chair, maybe the 2 next to it, and all the airspace around them. It's a silent, powerful declaration that just says, all of this, it's mine.
Next up, phase 2, object marking. This is where personal items become weapons. They're used to extend and anchor the territory they've just claimed.
The phone gets placed just outside their immediate reach. The notebook is opened wide, covering the space of 2 people. The jacket gets draped over a third, empty chair, claiming it. A water bottle becomes another perimeter marker. The effect is, it's just so insidious. They've systematically turned a shared, public table into their own private desk, and now you're forced to negotiate for a tiny little corner of what should have been common ground.
Now, if the actor feels even a little resistance, or if they just want to ramp up the pressure, they escalate. Welcome to Phase 3, the proxemic incursion. And let's be clear, this is a direct assault. They will lean way into your space during a conversation. Maybe they'll place their hand on the back of your chair. The goal is simple and brutal: to intentionally violate your personal zone, that little 18-inch bubble we all have, to trigger your internal threat alarm. Your gut instinct is to feel uncomfortable, to want to back away, and that's the leverage point. Your retreat is their victory.
And the final phase is all about strategic positioning. The actor will almost instinctively move to a power node in the environment. What's a power node? Well, it's the head of the table. It's the seat with the clearest view of the door. It's the central position in a group. By controlling this anchor point, they become the gatekeeper. And once they're the gatekeeper, all conversation, all attention, all the energy in the room has to flow through them. They don't even have to be the loudest person anymore. They just have to own the most important piece of real estate.
So what's the big takeaway here? It's that all these phases, they create a vicious, self-reinforcing cycle. They expand, which makes you compress. Your compression then invites them to expand even further. You're now completely trapped in what we call an incursion-submission feedback loop. And in this dynamic, the person who looks the most physically comfortable, the most relaxed, is paradoxically the one who is exerting the most control. So, how do you break the cycle? It comes down to one thing. You have to refuse to be compressed.
Okay, but why does this stuff work so well? I mean, why do we give up our ground so easily, even when we kind of know what's happening? The answer isn't logical, it's primal. We're about to dive into the amygdala hijack, the deep psychology of submission. First things first, if you find yourself shrinking in these situations, do not blame yourself for being weak. Seriously, it is not a failure of your character. It's a feature of your evolutionary hardware. Think about it. For millions of years out on the plains, any creature that was large, expansive, and unafraid was a dangerous creature. Our brains are hardwired with a very simple, very ancient equation. Expansion equals danger. So when we see this kind of dominant signaling, our ancient survival circuits fire up and prepare us to either submit or run, long before our modern, rational brain has time to even say hello.
And look, this isn't just a metaphor. This is a biochemical reality. Check this out. When you see someone doing this spatial dominance thing, your cortisol levels, that's your stress hormone, they skyrocket. That primes your body for retreat. But at the exact same time, your testosterone levels, the hormone that fuels confidence and assertiveness, they plummet. Your own body chemistry is literally being weaponized against you, making you feel less powerful and way more likely to give in, all without you making a single conscious choice.
But it's not just biological. There's a social trap too. We've all been conditioned since we were kids to be polite, right? To share, to not make a fuss. This is what's called the politeness trap. And the territorial actor exploits this beautifully. They take up 60–70% of the table, and that little voice in your head starts going, "Oh, it would be so rude to push their notebook over. I don't want to seem aggressive." They are counting on you being too refined, too socially aware to ever call them out on their silent aggression.
And to top it all off, our brains take this dangerous little shortcut. It's a cognitive bias called the halo effect. We see someone who looks incredibly comfortable, dominant, totally in control of their environment, and we automatically assume they must also be the most competent, the smartest, the most authoritative person in the room. We subconsciously mistake their arrogance for actual authority, and we grant them a status they haven't even earned. Okay, so we've dissected the attack from every angle. Now it's time to build the defense. And this isn't about learning how to be an aggressor. This is about refusing to be a victim. This is the Reclamation Protocol, your strategy for standing your ground and reclaiming your rightful status as an equal in any interaction. This protocol is built on 3 core actions. It's simple. First, you perform cognitive reappraisal to get back in control of your own mind. Second, you apply the non-compression principle to hold your physical ground. And third, you use height and level alignment to neutralize those subtle status games. Let's dig into each one.
This first step is the most powerful one, and it's completely internal. The second you feel that urge to shrink, I want you to consciously label what's happening. You say to yourself, "Ah, that's an initial expansion," or "Interesting, they're trying a proxemic incursion." This act of just naming the tactic, it's called cognitive reappraisal, and it's like a mental magic trick. It instantly shifts how you're processing this whole event, moving it from your emotional, reactive amygdala to your logical, analytical, prefrontal cortex. The fear just evaporates, and in that moment, you stop being a target and you become a strategist.
Now, here's what's really crucial. This knowledge can and absolutely should be used for good. If you're a leader, you can actually reverse engineer this entire process. Instead of making territorial claims, you can practice what's called inclusive expansion. Use open, relaxed body language. This has the opposite effect on your team. It actually lowers their cortisol levels. You occupy space in a way that makes the room feel larger and safer for everybody. You're non-verbally saying, "This space is for all of us. Your ideas are welcome here." This builds real power, the kind people give you out of respect, not fear. You end up creating an environment where the best ideas can flow freely because nobody is paying a spatial tax just to participate.
All right, this brings us to our final core insight. After all the tactics, all the psychology, and all the counter moves, everything we've talked about really comes down to one single powerful principle.
Here it is. In any negotiation, in any interaction, think about it. You can reclaim lost time, you can renegotiate the terms, but physical space, once you've given it up, it is almost impossible to get back without a direct confrontation. If you let someone physically push you into the corner of the room, you have already let them mentally push you out of the decision-making process. Always remember, the battle for the environment always precedes the battle of ideas.
So the most important thing to take away from all of this today is this: the control of physical space is directly and inextricably linked to the control of outcomes. So I want you to learn to notice those silent fences being built around you, refuse to be compressed, and understand deeply that to influence any decision, you must first own your space. Because the person who owns the space owns the outcome.